Now we're at the discussion and analysis. Bespreking en analyse. Right, it says we've already got headings, but we may need to add some additional headings and subheadings because we'll be able to group the relevant information. So now we're adding the information from phase 1 and 2, summaries, questionnaires, spreadsheets, and all the information, data, graphics, tables, charts, and pictures. And we may need to make sure that the information we'll add are relevant to the investigations. And we need to add hyperlinks. They need to be able to navigate to other websites and external documents, such as the spreadsheets and the database, and the hyperlinks to these external data and information must be easy to locate and understand. All right, so let's have a look at what we've done. Firstly, just so you know, you can then remove all these highlights if you've made them. I've just done them so that you can be 100% sure of which sections I'm talking about. So we've actually done most of the work in this section, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page, the easiest thing is just to switch on your navigation pane here. So show your navigation pane. And we used the questions and answers table. And depending on the category, you'll see these 3 headings on the category became our 3 headings under subheadings under discussion and analysis. Hierdie kategorie opskrifte het ons opskrifte geword onder bespreking en analyse. Okay, and then what I did is, depending on which source I got the information from, I've already included an actual citation here so that I didn't get lost. That was the idea. And you did that by references, insert citation, and then just clicking the citation. So jy was veronderstel klaar die citate in te sit. And then the idea was to put these paragraphs in at the correct, under the correct heading at the top. So you were supposed to copy them and go to the top. And then just to show you again how to paste it, is you were supposed to paste it not as text only, because then it throws away the citations, not as the entire cell, but as the cell contents, so that we have it in the correct format. We still have active citations. So extremely important, please check that your citations are still fields. If you click in them, they are supposed to still be fields. Very, very important. All right, and check that you have all the necessary information and they are under the correct headings. Now, the main thing that you need to do here is that you need to check the order and the flow of this section. Now, the point of this is so that one can read it. Basically, like if you do a project for life orientation, it's supposed to make sense if you read it from top to bottom. It's supposed to make sense without seeing the questions that you originally used for this paragraph. Remember, we used questions. So these paragraphs firstly need to make sense by themselves, and secondly, they need to make sense if you read them one after the other, and thirdly, they need to make sense under the specific headings, and fourthly, the headings need to be in a specific order. So I'm going to show you 2 examples that are wrong, and then I'll show you how to reorder them. Right, so here we've got an example where it's wrong. So the discussion and analysis starts with solutions. Why would you start with a solution? You would always start with something like background, then with a problem, and then with solutions. Or if you don't have background, it would first be problem, then whatever else you have, probably costs or something, and end with the solutions, because that's actually the purpose, hey? And if you read here, if you actually pause the video and you read through these different paragraphs, you'll see these paragraphs aren't connected in any way whatsoever. You can see they literally just stand alone. It's got nothing to do with one another. They don't even try to connect them to one another. If I look at the other example, you'll see here, this is an excellent example, someone who clearly spent a lot of time on this. And I just want to say, connecting the paragraphs to one another and the logical flow does only count 1 mark. So if you don't have a lot of time and you're crunched for time, I'd say this is probably only for people who aim for 70s and 80s for their PAT. So if you don't want to spend the time on it, I understand it's 1 mark. But it's good practice anyway. Over here, you'll see what they do is in the first paragraph, they say to understand what a refugee crisis is, we first have to understand what a refugee is, and then they give the definition of what a refugee is, and then they connect it to the next paragraph by saying, when we understand what a refugee is, it's quite obvious what a refugee crisis is, and then they speak about that. Currently, there are 68 million refugees worldwide, and they speak about all of those. And then they say these numbers referring to the previous paragraph. Do you see that? So each paragraph is connected to the previous one. So this is a perfect flow from one paragraph to the next. That's what we're saying when it says it connects from the one paragraph to the next one. All right. If you want to reorder things, I just want to show you how easy this actually is. If you just want to order one or two things by itself, you can just stand in that single paragraph and you press Alt-Shift and your arrow up or down, and then it can move around. Obviously, if you want to reorder more than one thing, you can just select all of them and then press Alt-Shift and Alt-Shift and your arrows up and down, and then you can rearrange them. So, go ahead, check your order and flow, check that the citations are still fields, and then you can complete that. So what we've done up to now is we've checked that we only have relevant, appropriate data that we've used from phases 1 and 2. You mustn't have anything irrelevant, eh? The information are grouped together under the appropriate headings. They flow, the information flows logically from one heading and paragraph to the next. And all graphics used are relevant and appropriate. So the one thing I just want to tell you here is, since this is under the heading for discussion body, you should probably just check with your teacher whether they require you to have a graphic specifically under the discussion section. I don't mind where the graphics are, so I don't mark that strict, but it is possible for a teacher to perhaps require you to have a graphic at a specific area.